Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. Got some Thursday night college football here. Sunbelt, South Alabama on the road at App State. Let's do it.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
All right, like I said, South Alabama on the road at Kidd Brewer Stadium. App State laying 7, 7.5, or 8, depending on your sports book. This line opened up at 7. It got bought up to 8, then got bought back down to 7, but there's still 7.5s out there, and I even see an 8. So depending on what side you like, you could still get a 7 or an 8 at the time of recording. Total sitting at pretty much 62.5 consensus. So it looks like 62 across the board here as far as the total. So let's get into this one, and we'll start with the pie charts. According to this data, which you should take with a grain of salt, all the action's coming in Appalachian State. Over 75% of the bets, over 80% of the money, according to this data, coming in on yellow. Let's take a quick look at head-to-head history. App State has taken 4 in a row here. Pretty decisively, too. 31-7 in 2021, 30-3 in 2019, and in 2018, 52-7. South Alabama's last 2 trips to this field, they've lost by 24 and 45. So this has been pretty one-sided as far as these two teams go. But what we need to know is how these two teams match up this season, and both are running pretty similar offenses here. Fast pace, throwing the ball a lot. South Alabama, 20th in pace, 15th in passing frequency. App State, 9th in pace, 17th in passing frequency. So by that alone, we should expect 150 points scored in this game. I say that sarcastically, but South Alabama did just put up 87 in their last one against Northwestern State. So yeah, we should see a lot of points in this one. I do have to question the strength of schedule a bit for South Alabama. Have not seen a defense here. I mean, 132nd, that's what North Texas is ranked as far as DFEI goes. Ohio's 92nd. Northwestern State's an FCS program, but now they play App State and they're 109th. So does the defensive competition even change here? As far as South Alabama offensive numbers on the season, they're looking pretty good. They're 34th in the country in yards per play, 17th in success rate, 8th in PPA. Again, they haven't played anybody, which is why their OFEI rating is still sitting at 70th. The biggest question coming into this season for South Alabama's offense was Gio Lopez at quarterback. What can we expect? Can he replace Carter Bradley? He certainly looked excellent in the bowl game, 14 of 19, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, a passer rating over 210. So here he is, QB1 coming into this season. Can that awesome performance in the bowl game translate? And so far, he's lived up to it. I mean, 689 yards, over 10 yards per pass attempt, 7 touchdowns, no picks. But he didn't play in the Ohio game. He was injured and missed that game. That was their only road game on the road in Ohio. And that would have been a really good indication of what we can see here. This is only going to be his second career road start. His first career road start was last year on the road in Troy, and he really wasn't good. 17 of 27, 155 yards, a pick, 103.8 passer rating. So he really struggled in his only career road start. Now, to be fair, this was last season. He was a freshman. He was on the road in Troy, and that Troy defense last year was pretty good. So, I mean, it wasn't the easiest spot for him to be thrown into. I don't know if it's necessarily fair to judge him by that performance, but still, I think it's important to take note that he struggled in his only career road start. Now he's on the road at Appalachian State, and you might say, Kyle, this App State defense is nothing like Troy's defense from last year. And I think you'd be right in saying that in a lot of aspects. Their numbers on the season certainly look terrible. 127th in yards per play allowed, 114th in success rate, 126th in PPA. They're rated 109th in DFEI. By all metrics, this is looking like a pretty bad defense. But I have to say these numbers are definitely misleading. They're being thrown off by the Clemson game. If you actually look at App State's game logs defensively, I mean, Clemson, 712 yards and 66 points. Yeah, that'll skew the numbers a bit. Other than that, I mean, they let up 10 points to Eastern Tennessee, only 19 points on the road at East Carolina. That's not an easy place to play. And by the way, even that final score is misleading. On the road at ECU, they won 21-19. Look at the total yards in that game, 505 to 324. Aguilar went on the road and was throwing the ball all over ECU's defense. Look, by no means am I trying to tell you that App State's defense is good, but it's certainly not as bad as the numbers indicate. I mean, Clemson put up 1 billion yards on them. It's skewing the numbers. They're not that bad. And I actually think Gio Lopez making his second career road start, I think he's going to make a mistake or two. So I wouldn't be surprised if App State's defense is able to make some stops here. On the other side, we got the Mountaineer offense, and we know this is an explosive unit. Numbers don't really tell the story based on their schedule so far. They're 44th in OFEI for a reason. Joey Aguilar, reigning Sunbelt Offensive Player of the Year, or reigning Sunbelt Player of the Year, something like that. That's the quarterback for App State. And look, he struggled on the road in Clemson. What Appalachian State quarterback is not going to struggle on the road in Clemson? I mean, how can we judge an App State quarterback for struggling on the road in Clemson? The other two games, he was lighting it up. He threw for like 750 yards in the other two games. Yeah, he did throw a couple interceptions on the road at ECU, but he threw for over 420 yards in that game, and ECU is not an easy place to go and move the football. They usually have a tough defense that usually plays better at home. So that was still a great performance. Other than the Clemson game, he has looked as good as advertised. We know this App State offense always lights it up at home. To finish off the season last year, their last 3 home games, they averaged 44.7 points per game, almost a 50% success rate, over 7.4 points per play. Look at Aguilar's passing numbers in those last 3 home games last year. Over 304 passing yards per game, over 53% success rate, almost 10 yards per pass attempt. I mean, we know this dude's going to light it up. At home against South Alabama's defense, he's going to light it up. He's got almost 1,000 yards passing already after 3 games, and one of them was on the road in Clemson. So yeah, we know this dude's going to throw for a ton of yards and put a lot of points up. He always does at home. And look at South Alabama's defensive numbers. They're 117th in the country in yards per play allowed. Look at their pass defense numbers. 115th in yards per pass attempt allowed. 124th in pass defense success rate. This is a nightmare spot for South Alabama's defense. Keep in mind, this is a defense that gave up 52 points to North Texas in week 1. Chandler Morris threw for 415 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 187 passer rating. It was his first game with the team. He had never played in the system before. His first game threw for 415 yards and 3 touchdowns on this South Alabama defense. So it just keeps getting worse and worse here for South Alabama's defense. Not to mention they run a lot of zone coverage. This year they're 19th in the country in zone frequency. Joey Aguilar's passing numbers against zone coverage are great. He's 39th in the country in passer grade against zone, 36th in passer rating against zone. So he's had no problems throwing the ball in zone coverage. I mean, the only angle I could see here is maybe if you think South Alabama's going to run the ball and control the clock a little, but I'd even hesitate on that because like I mentioned before, South Alabama really hasn't seen anybody yet. And on the road in App State, even though, yeah, their defense is questionable, they're bringing back a lot of production from last year. And like I mentioned, that road game against Clemson is definitely skewing their numbers. I don't think this defense is that bad, which is why I laid the 7 here. I took it early. I bet it early in the week. Then it moved up to 7.5, then 8. And I was like, oh, got some CLV. Now it's back down to 7. So not really worried about it. I'm on App State -7. I mean, I don't absolutely love it. I probably wouldn't be betting this if it wasn't a standalone game, but Thursday night, primetime college football, I obviously want to have some action down. I'm on App State -7. They should put up a 50 piece here. If you want to see all the bets I currently have open, head over to KyleKirms.com and click on Open Bets. You'll see mine as well as everyone on the staff here. Also, if you sign up for Sauce Network Plus, it comes with access to the Discord, and you can participate in the weekly betting league. $150, and one of these trophies go to the winner every single week. So if you're interested, head over to the website and sign up. Let's have ourselves a nice college football week 4. I need it, man, because week 3 last Saturday crushed me. So let's have a bounce back week here. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you in the Discord.